Hello everybody, welcome back to Game Bros Station, and once again another Game Bros cast going over DuckTales, featuring our Master of Ceremonies, Mark, myself, and Matt. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jared Guy.
Your last name's Guy?
No.
Learn something new every day.
Exactly. So, take it away, Mark.
All right, in this episode, we will be reviewing The Great Dime Chase. Wikipedia says this is episode 3. Comcast says this is episode 2. Narratively, it kind of seems like episode 2 to me, so that's what we're going with. And, any opening thoughts so far, like before we maybe do a quick summary from you two?
It was fun.
It was fun. All right. Matt?
It was all right.
It was all right. It was all right. Yeah, I definitely think, just get me started, with episode 2 and 3, whichever way you're going to organize this, humor is definitely better in these episodes than I think in the first episodes.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would say so, considering that now the characters are established, so they can just focus their writing on the humor now.
I think it mostly came down to the fact that we were in a more limited space. Mm-hmm. We were given a specific setting. We weren't traveling or going between point A and point B. Hence, we focus more on the characters, and they have a greater chance of, like, expressing their personality and playing with the humor of their situation. I think that's why the humor worked better in this case.
Well, speaking of situation, in this episode, we find Louie being a lazy, no-good millennial, hashtag trigger word, and Scrooge isn't having any of that because Scrooge made his money being tougher than the toughies, smarter than the smarties, all that stuff that everyone older than you says. So, yeah, there's that. And he takes Louie, Dewey, and Webby to the money bin to teach them about a hard day's work.
So pretty much the green and the blue one and the girl one.
Yeah, Huey is off somewhere else doing something, and Mrs. Beakley is Mrs. Beakley.
Being awesome!
And Launchpad, well, he drives them there, so yeah.
Launchpad, well, he crashed the limo.
Yes.
All right, but back on track. Louie is completely without any sense of, the worth of money, hard work, all that. He accidentally, during the board meeting with the vultures, who one of them looks suspiciously like Mr. Burns. I wonder if that just means Mr. Burns looks like a vulture or whatever. But
I think that was probably the connection. Probably. They had to appeal somehow to the adult audiences.
Right. Well, he accidentally spends Scrooge's #1 dime on a vending machine because the vending machine at the money bin cost $1.10 for a soda. Freaking ripoff, am I right, guys?
$1.10, that's amazing.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah.
Oh, God, things are getting expensive.
More like $2.75.
Remember when gas was under $1?
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yes. Anyway.
Real quick, speaking of cameo, I think the other thing that kind of made me laugh in that episode was the Ottoman Brothers.
Yes.
It wasn't because it was on a specific nod to, like, a reality show, but it just reminded me of, like, what's the one with the brothers?
Shark Tank?
Property Brothers.
The Property Brothers.
That's what I thought it was.
It reminded me of Property Brothers, a little bit of the Shark Tank.
It reminded me of Shark Tank a bit more.
Just some of the things I was like, oh, I'm going to do all this, and it's like, this is my twin, he's the handsome one. And
American Pickers.
Yeah, it's just, like, I just felt like it was funny.
It was a nice little
making
parody.
fun of all those reality shows.
It was, and the Ottoman show being the trashy cable network show that, Louie is really into throughout this episode.
Yeah, that's actually fun. Like, a mini rant story is like, I feel like that's true with a lot of people. Like, my brother, my sister and her husband watch a certain show, and I watched the first episode with them, and I was like, this is crap, but they have no choice but to watch it because they have kids, and they just end up liking the show as it goes on. So I'm like, you know what? I think that's what these shows do to you.
Break your will down to the point that you accept it and have to like it.
Yeah, you just accept it, and then all some of the facts that they try to give you, just like the situations of what the job they're trying to do, suddenly you just find it fascinating because it's like, oh, Stockholm Syndrome, I'm stuck watching this, I might as well invest. I feel like that's what the joke was about the Ottomans.
I think that's fair.
Anyway, go
with
on.
A cameo by Glumgold again.
Yeah.
He wouldn't put his feet up on that Ottoman. But anyway, during the board meeting and in the process of losing the first dime, we're introduced to our new version of Gyro Gear Loose, a lot more eccentric, I think you would say, than his original counterpart, not sporting the ginger hair anymore. And we meet Little Bulb, who is going to go mad with power after being abused by his oppressor, Louie. And basically build the whole giant barrel mecha thing that we see in the intro. And everyone was like, wait, why is Little Bulb big? His name is Little Bulb. I'm so sad now. The series is ruined. Don't worry. he just went mad with power because he had a 75-watt bulb instead of a 50-watt bulb.
Yeah.
Everyone chill out.
That was a clever little joke. I was like, oh, that's funny.
And while this is all going on, we actually get probably the more interesting lore overarching building bits with Dewey and Webby going into the Scrooge McDuck family archives. Woo!
Yeah, I gotta say, I really like the librarian of the archive. She's freaking great.
I want to check. I should have checked before if this was a professional podcast, but I think she's voiced by the lady who, she voices Daisy. She voices Mom on Futurama. I forget her name.
Oh, really?
Really?
It's like Tessa something.
Yeah.
Tessa McNeil?
It sounded like her.
Or Mackie?
Was that just me?
Well, I did this last time, so
I wasn't really paying attention, but...
Well, she's basically the librarian or keeper of the archives. She is even more eccentric than Gyro Gearloose in this version and kind of goes crazy, tries to kill, Dewey and Webby, and eventually guides them into this whole secret wing, all explaining things about their mother, Della Duck, who, in the context of the show and even in the real world, we have no information on this character, despite kind of being pretty important.
Nah, it's all new territory, and that's what I was kind of asking throughout the story. Was like, we never talk about Huey, Dewey, and Louie of like where they came from. It's like Uncle Donald. Okay, what happened to their parents? And it's like, oh, we're getting nods to the mother, and she could be some great thing. But screw the father though. Who the f cares about him? Right? We'll just talk about the mother because they're the ones that lay the eggs.
Quack, quack. Duck anatomy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we find out she stole a spear that I believe was actually technically referenced in the first episodes. A specific location. I forget the name of the actual thing. And basically Scrooge or Donald or both seem to harbor some very bad feelings and kind of trying to maybe repress even whatever happened during that event.
Might be a turncoat situation.
It seems to hint that.
Yeah, that's what they seem to be, kind of nodding.
But Dewey and Webby decide not to tell anyone, but they're going to keep prying. The librarian reveals that, 50% of this was helping them find out the origins of Della Duck. Yeah. The other 50% was basically getting them to do her job for her.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. Thing. And then we cut back to Louie. He's exhausted. He's got the dime back. He beat Little Bulb, and Gyro helped Little Bulb get back to normal. We find out it wasn't the number one dime after all because Scrooge isn't dumb enough to leave his most valuable possession out in the open in a money bin full of crazy people who he actually hires, let alone any of the crazy people who would actually want the number one dime.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, he's a smart man despite his superficial appearance.
Yeah. Also explains why he's chasing the number one dime in the intro.
Yeah. But then one last thing, we cut to Gyro at the end, sort of doing a little, it's not an end credit scene, but it kind of has that flair to it with Marvel.
Like a slice of a post-credit scene almost. This could lead to other events.
Robot equals this. Gyro equals this. What if Gyro equals robot? I think hitting at Gizmo Duck in the future, possibly, unless there's something even crazier happening down the road.
So my question is, if they're saying, this Gizmo guy will become that duck, robot duck, so are they combining two characters then?
No, because the character who is Gizmo Duck actually is appearing in this episode. I think basically we just saw Gyro hatch the idea for the project that would build Gizmo Duck.
Okay, so we're keeping the once ginger-headed duck his own character.
He's a chicken.
Oh, whatever. A bird. And the Gyro Duck from DuckTales and the Darkwing Duck. That's a separate character.
Yes, and that just basically now...
They're not going to combine that in this one.
No, I think they're just...
two different entities. Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Fenton, I believe, is his name.
There you go.
And, that's our summary of the episode. So where do we want... Jared, overall opinion then? Why not?
Overall, I had a lot of fun watching this thing, and I've seen the original series, even though I don't fully remember it off the full 100% of my brain. But I had a lot of fun. The characters and the writing definitely improved. The characters are a lot better. But the humor hasn't suffered at all. It's still going strong. I laughed at little nods or puns. There was a pun. Oh no, wait, that's a different one. Never mind. But point is, there was a lot of clever references and nods, and definitely a lot more interesting things with Della Duck being a thing now. I'm very interested to see where they go with this and find out what the heck the Spear of Selene is or whatever.
All right. Spear of Selene, that was it. Thank you, Jared. And Matt, a word from you, why not?
Well, like I said, when I first saw the premiere episode, I was kind of like lukewarm. It was like amusing for what it was, but I didn't really think it was that fun. I definitely think it's much more improvement. Like I said in the beginning, the locations were more contained, so we get to focus more on the characters and what they're trying to do. The humor was alright in some parts. Some of it was a little stretched. Well, not stretched, but forced, in my opinion. But overall, I think it's an improvement. I'm liking it so far, and I'm curious what the overall arc of the season's going to be.
Well, I'm actually very happy to hear that from you, Matt. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've enjoyed this episode quite a bit, for all the reasons above stated. Also, we find out Scrooge is spending an absurd amount of money on magical defense because he has a lot of hexes on his head. I'm really hoping, especially since this was an episode involving the number one dime, that was maybe our gateway into the character Magica de Spell, who was one of my favorite Scrooge McDuck villains.
Was she the kind of vampiric looking?
Yeah, she's the very vampira looking duck.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And yeah, she's a witch and everything. And so that's the character I'm looking forward to hearing, and I hope is actually voiced by Trace McNeil, was it?
Something like that.
Because she does a good version of what June Foray had done with that character. So that'd be my hope. Fingers crossed for Dreamcasting there.
Yep.
Cool. And okay, well, I think that was our 10 cents.
That's a good pun, Marc.
Dude, your jokes are a dime a dozen.
Crap, I don't got anything.
I'd buy that for a dime.
All right, well then. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Again, if you think this is episode 3 and not episode 2, don't worry, because the one that you are thinking of, the one with the Beagle Boys, will be coming up right after this one. So just watch that one and watch it in whatever order you feel like.
Yep.
Until we get some confirmation.
Yeah, because Wikipedia did not help us here.
No, and then there's Wikipedia, and there's Comcast, and then there's the world.
Actually, it'd probably be nice if the website actually had an official listing.
Yeah.
just like an
I
info
probably
list.
should have just looked at
whatever. Whatever.
Well,
Wrap it
thanks
up.
for watching, everybody. Jared, would you like to take us home?
Sure. Tune in next time, everybody, where we talk more about DuckTales, play more games, yell at each other, scream, rant, and yeah. And as a reminder, we have a Facebook page and Twitter
And SoundCloud
feed,
for the
and SoundCloud
game
for these
BroCast.
as well. All links in the description below. Tune in next time, everybody. As we say here, to be continued.